A professional counselor in the Dallas area is growing in popularity for his treatment methods.
How do you talk to kids about terror? And with social media and television, it's everywhere, and it's unavoidable for kids.
Rusty Lozano is the founder of the Center for Biofeedback and Behavior Therapy. He's also been nationally recognized for his work with brain mapping.
He's created a gym to work out the mind. His office features an obstacle course.
Rusty Lozano is a licensed professional counselor, helping children with headaches, with anxiety, ADHD, and more.
Here's where Lozano comes in. He teaches kids how to think their pain away with something called biofeedback.
A North Texas therapist is treating patients in this unconventional way.
We have Rusty Lozano who's joining us today. He's a licensed professional counselor.
He put together an unusual treatment for teenagers who are struggling with mental issues, except he's taking this now a step further.
Rusty Lozano, a leading therapist and pediatric biofeedback therapist based in Texas at the Center for Biofeedback and Behavior Therapy. And Rusty, thanks for being with us tonight.
Rusty Lozano, a father of 4 and also a professional counselor in Texas, says it's all about being a credible resource to your children.
The Therapy Hour with Rusty Lozano, your dedicated resource for mental health news, views, and tips you can use. Brought to you by the Center for Biofeedback and Behavior Therapy in Addison, Texas. And now, here's Rusty.
And good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on the Therapy Hour on a very honorable weekend, Memorial Day. Memorial Day weekend, one of the kickoff to the summer season, but most importantly, we can't forget what the meaning of Memorial Day is. And so I have a few quotes I want to start out with. And this is from the Today Show. Memorial Day is a year it's especially important as we are reminded almost daily of the great sacrifices that men and women of the armed services make to defend our way of life. Here's another one. These fallen heroes represent the character of a nation who has a long history of patriotism and honor, and a nation who has fought many battles to keep our country free from threats of terror. So what I wanted to do is just, in my own way, just extend a moment of silence for our veterans and those who put their lives in danger to protect our way of life and say thank you. And I personally want to thank the families that have kids in the services that are doing things to protect us and help us feel safer in this country, and extend a huge welcome and say thank you. So today, I actually think that this show is going to pertain a lot to a lot of individuals that struggle with different types of disorders: depression, bipolar disorder, anger, emotion stability, or being able to use coping mechanisms, sleep. So today what I'd figure we'd do is we have this excellent resource here. His name is Joel Holliner. He's an MD, and he's board certified in psychiatry and addiction psychiatry. He's the executive medical director at Green Oaks Hospital. He's chief of psychiatry at Medical City in Dallas, and is in private practice at Medical City in the Holliner Psychiatric Group. And he specializes in psychiatric medication management and hospitalization. Today we have 4 segments, and this is going to actually cast a pretty wide net. Our first segment, Dr. Holliner is going to visit with us about depression. In our second segment, we're going to discuss exercise and the importance of. The third segment, we're going to discuss bipolar disorder. And in the fourth segment, we will discuss sleep problems. So we have a lot of information. So what I'd like to do is just jump right in and say, Dr. Holliner, thank you for being on the show and welcome.
Thanks, Rusty. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and you and I have actually, we had a phone conversation, and we've worked with similar patients in the past, or like patients, and you were actually at Green Oaks when you were working with some of these patients. But, talking to you, you actually have a pretty vast array of different treatments at your facility.
Yeah, we really do. We, treating depression is something that's a real challenge. We don't realize what a challenge it is, because we might think in general that, hey, you just talk to someone about it and work it out and that sort of thing, but that doesn't always work. And so we have to have different treatments other than talking therapy, which is very important.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to have lots of other treatments, and we do, because our goal is to get patients well. We're not going to be satisfied with them improving, but we really want them well and back to their baseline.
Back to their baseline and functional and being able to pursue their occupation and move happily. Let's talk a little bit about depression. What is your experience with this particular disorder, and what do you think is important for people to know about depression?
Well, it's depression is extremely common, and but many patients that have depression don't get treated, and that's the big challenge. You may think that, it's just something I'll get through, or who wouldn't be depressed or who wouldn't be sad if they are getting divorced or lost a loved one, or were in the military and had it's all the challenges there, and missed your family or had injuries, or the family members. It's normal to be sad and down. But what we're talking about for the treatment of depression is not just the texture of life. We're talking about not something that's just temporary that you'll just get over and work through and that everyone would face, but when people have ongoing sadness that goes on for weeks at a time at a minimum, we have crying spells, hopelessness, maybe suicidal thoughts, loss of interest in things you used to enjoy, sleep problems, appetite problems, where it really totally affects your ability to function, then people need to get help.
Yeah. And a lot of times they may not even realize, some people may not even realize that they're actually having some of these symptoms. It's somebody else that might call it to their attention. And then they're aware of it and they realize, well, maybe I should do something about it.
Absolutely. And the two things I'd say to look at to see if it's impacting you is, have you lost interest in things you used to enjoy?
Mm-hmm. Anhedonia.
Anhedonia, exactly. That's a fancy word for it. And then
psychobabble. Yeah.
And then the other is just, do you feel sad, blue, down, depressed? You'll have one of those two in addition to many other symptoms that have been going on for weeks at a time. And you may think that, again, that you lost a loved one. Then who wouldn't be depressed? And that's true. But if it goes on and on,
mm-hmm.
then it's time to get treatment for it. And
even if some people, like let's say that Memorial Day, there's a lot of awareness to loss of loved ones. It's common for people to feel sad. I mean, it's an actual normal emotion, but it can go too far. And what you're saying is that whenever you start to see these extremes, it's time to get help. But is it possible for some people to kind of experience that level of low for a certain amount of time and then they're able to pull out of it?
Well, depression is treatable, but it generally doesn't resolve on its own. Or if it does resolve on its own,
mm-hmm.
it takes an extraordinarily long time.
So
if we get treated for the depression, we can move it along
right.
much, much faster and have a better outcome.
Right. So you really shouldn't try to muscle through it or just kind of think that, well, just give me some time and things will get better. If the quality of your life is really inundated, then it really is time to seek help.
Well, it's not fair to yourself, and it's not fair to your loved ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's not fair to your employer. It's not fair to those around you to have you down and depressed and not getting through it when there are treatments out there
mm-hmm.
that can help lift you up out of that.
Yeah.
It's a biochemical illness. I guess that's the point we really need to make about this, is that it's not a lack of willpower.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that you're not trying or don't care or lazy. It's not the pull yourself by your bootstraps kind of thing, because you can try to do that. Of course,
right.
You talk to friends, or maybe try to exercise, or try to be more active, or try to have a positive attitude, or maybe read a self-help book, or do. But if those things don't work, then it's time to get professional help.
Right. Yeah, and I think that that's something that a lot of times people will hit rock bottom, and they may actually seek the usage of alcohol or substances to help them make themselves feel better, or they may partake in some daring tasks and take extreme risk, just to try to pick themselves up a little bit.
Absolutely.
You see a lot of that?
Oh, we see alcoholism and drug abuse and like you say, dangerous behaviors, thrill seeking, or just other things to try to make changes in their life that don't work.
Yeah.
It was Cat Stevens, is one of his lines when I was tell how old I am. I was in college when Cat Stevens, in the early 70s, came out with the song that says, "You can travel 1,000 miles and still stay where you are. So you can try to do these things. You can even move, literally, physically move to another city I've had patients do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any difference if you're really depressed.
And there's no shame in the in the music scenario though, because the 70s were the epicenter for a lot of great music that we listen to now, and it still has an endless lifespan. So as far as depression, what is it? Can you give us a few little benchmark things to look out for? Just I guess you mentioned some of those, but how about just like on the fly, what can somebody look at and say, well, maybe I should get, or if you have a loved one, maybe they should go and seek help?
Okay, so the first thing is you go, how long has this been lasting?
Mm-hmm.
If it's been at least 2 weeks, so before 2 weeks, I wouldn't consider it a significant depression you'd necessarily need to treat or consider professional help for. But has it gone on for at least weeks? Often it's months or sometimes even years.
Got it.
Then you look at, do you have a lack of interest in things you used to enjoy,
mm-hmm.
or a depressed mood? You might have both. You might only have one.
Mm-hmm.
But just lack of interest, that anhedonia, can be a symptom of depression hallmark. You don't have to actually feel depressed. You don't have to say, I'm depressed, although you often do.
Yeah.
Then you look at sleep problems, appetite problems.
Mm-hmm.
And sleep can be either way. You could either not sleep at all, or you could oversleep. Appetite, you could not. Most people don't eat when they're depressed as much. Some people overeat.
Yeah, and those are important keys to look out for. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
From the PenFed Credit Union Weather Center, partly cloudy skies today with a slight chance of stray shower or thunderstorm, high approaching 88. Tonight, 60% chance of scattered thunderstorms, that low getting down to 71. I'm Zach Killian, and this report brought to you by Disney Pixar's Finding Dory.
Disney Pixar's new comedy adventure, Finding Dory. From the creators of Finding Nemo and Inside Out comes the unforgettable journey of the world's most forgetful fish. In theaters in 3D June 17th. Rated PG.
Texas. It's a big state with a whole lot of wind blowing around. What can we do with all that wind? Or what do you say we power all of our homes with pure 100% wind energy? At Breeze Energy, we're totally 100% green. We don't do coal or nuclear, and we never will. So why not go with the wind? Go to breezeenergy.com. We think you'll see we're a genuine breath of fresh air.
Hello, I'm Dane Miner, General Manager of Freeman Toyota, and let's do this. Let's get you into a new car today for less than $200 a month. My friend, if you're driving around paying more than that, just listen to what we have for you at Freeman Toyota. Lease a 2016 Toyota Corolla for only $179 a month for 36 months, or choose a Camry for only $20 more a month. Let's roll on that one more time. The Corolla, $179 a month. And for just $20 more, zip on out of Freeman Toyota with your new Camry. At Freeman Toyota, we get it. You want a great vehicle at a price you can afford every single month. And that's exactly what we will deliver each and every day. So come and get your new Camry or Corolla for less than $200 a month at Freeman Toyota. We're located on the affordable side of the Metroplex at 183 and 820, just south of the Northeast Mall. Call toll-free 1-800-NEW-CARS or log on to freemantoyota.com.
Call 888-389-2710 for lease details.
If you have a new phone, any phone, smartphone, iPhone, listen up. Every 2 seconds, one of us will accidentally break our phone. So guess what? Insuring, protecting your phone and all the phones in your family is a really smart idea. But if you have insurance from one of those big cell phone companies, I promise you, you're paying way too much. Switch to SquareTrade.com phone protection today, and you'll save hundreds of dollars a year per phone. For example, if you have Verizon or Sprint, well, they can charge $11 a month for phone insurance. Now, for a family of 4, that's $44 a month, plus up to $199 deductible when you do break your phone. Now, SquareTrade has a family protection plan. Well, that's less than $4 a month per phone. Well, that means a family of 4 is saving over $500 a year. So stop overpaying for phone protection. Protect all your phones with SquareTrade instead. Just go to SquareTrade.com. That's SquareTrade.com.
SquareTrade does not cover lost or stolen items. Savings based on 2-year iPhone plan with 1 claim compared to Assurian total equipment coverage as of August 2015.
You're listening to the Therapy Hour with Rusty Lozano. Brought to you by the Center for Biofeedback and Behavior Therapy in Addison, Texas.
Hello, and we are back. Thank you for joining us today on the Therapy Hour. If you're just joining us, we're visiting with Joe Holliner, and we're discussing depression, at least for this first segment. And actually, we're going to continue with this topic and discuss what are some treatments for depression.
Well, there are a lot of treatments out there. So traditionally, we think about talking therapy. We call it psychotherapy, and there's different kinds of talking therapy, different techniques, but that's a mainstay, a very important part of the treatment. But there are a lot of other things that we do, and we add in medications, antidepressant medications, and some people are so against the idea of medication, but I talk to folks and I say, well, look, it's like if you have diabetes, you can exercise and you can watch your diet, but you need medication to help keep the sugars down also, or we're not going to keep the disease in control. It's very same thing with depression. You need the talking therapy, but you also need medication when you have a significant depression. And because these are biological illnesses. You think of it's just stress or it's just handling problems, but there are chemical changes in the brain that occur, lowering of serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, these neurotransmitters in the brain, and these medications help bring them back to their appropriate levels. So medication is very important, and there's about 25 antidepressants on the market. So
20, that's amazing. That's a lot.
There's a lot of them on the market. And then now there's medications that you can add to antidepressants to make them work better. And sometimes you'll see advertisements on the TV usually, sometimes print ads, sometimes radio. And there's commercials where they're like 2 minutes long, and the first half is this medication is going to change your life. Everything's going to be much better. And the second half is, but it's going to kill you. Right. Those are how they do those commercials. But then you've got, in addition to medication, we have electroconvulsive therapy for extreme cases, and that's probably ECT or shock treatment. That you probably think of that's like one for the cuckoo's nest. Right? I mean, nobody really does it, but actually that is a technique that is very safe. It's nothing like you'd think it would be. It's a terrible name.
So what is that designed to do, ECT?
Well, the mechanism we think is that it increases in a big way a flood of serotonin, norepinephrine, dopamine, the neurotransmitters that are too low when folks are depressed, and it brings it back up to normal.
So it almost resets it.
And it sounds barbaric and old-fashioned. It's like, I mean, they invented this in the 40s. Can you believe they're still doing it now? But it's not. It's so much safer. It's extremely effective, and it's 80 to 90% effective in severe, even life-threatening depression. I mean, there's almost nothing in medicine that's that effective.
Wow.
So it's really a great option if you need it for severe depression.
Have you heard of deep brain stimulation? Where they actually place a little rod, I guess a probe inside of a certain region of the brain.
Yes. Now, deep brain stimulation is another technique that it's a very interesting one. It's now not FDA approved, so it's not approved yet.
It's relatively new.
Now, it's used for some other things, for like Parkinson's. It's used for that. And they're researching it at Southwestern Medical School and some other places. They're researching it for depression. And like you say, they actually drill a hole in your skull, put some electrodes down into the brain, put a pacemaker in and stimulate the brain. That sounds horrible. I mean, on the surface of it, doesn't it? But
sounds very Terminator-ish.
Drilling a hole into your brain. But it may end up being something that's very, very effective for depression, and we're just kind of remain to be seen. But that's a research possibility that may end up being fantastic.
Yeah, wow. I mean, and that's the whole concept of the technology is just really mind blowing. Like what we're able to do now.
Oh, it's amazing. Some other things that we've come up with is something called a vagal nerve stimulator. And this is another surgical procedure where they go and they put wires along the vagus nerve, which goes along in the neck, on the carotid,
from the heart to the brain.
And it stimulates. They put a pacemaker in, it stimulates the brain, and that is approved, FDA approved for the use of severe depression. And so that's a possibility. We also have other things. There's a transcranial magnetic stimulation.
I have read a lot of that, and that's actually coming on pretty strong. Electromagnetic.
Yeah, and this transcranial magnetic stimulation. You sit in a chair that's like a dentist chair kind of looking thing. They put a magnet over your head, looks like maybe a hairdryer, and you sit there for 40 minutes, 5 days a week for 4 weeks, and they give you that stimulation. And that helps with depression in many folks.
Wow.
It's not as powerful as electroconvulsive therapy treatment, but it's can be very effective.
Yeah.
There's another research tool where it hasn't been cleared yet, but ketamine, which is an animal anesthetic agent, and people actually abuse it. I think they call it Special K, and it gets you high and all this stuff. But in certain doses, you can give it by IV, and it can lift depression up.
Wow.
So they're researching that as another possibility for depression.
Huh. And that seems a little more organic than like some of these other electronic assisted therapies. Is that is that fair to say?
Well, I think these are all trying to change the brain chemistry in different ways. We're looking at any way, by pills, by electrical currents, by magnetic currents.
Yeah, that's an arsenal of different types of things.
It is, because this is a life-threatening, horrible illness. You think, it's just depression, but it leads to suicide, of course. It leads to miserable lives, emotional suffering for the individual and their families, their loved ones. It's a terrible impact on society, costing untold billions of dollars a year in our lives, in our economy, in addition to the struggling in our lives. So these are all really. It's really important to treat the depression. But these other things are we don't tend to go to the the electroconvulsive therapy, the vagal nerve stimulator, the transcranial magnetic stimulation, the ketamine, deep brain stimulation. Those are very rare that we go to those.
Yeah.
But the medications are our mainstay. The talking therapy and medications are extremely effective.
And that's where that's a lot of what your clinic is about also, is you in addition to doing some of the medication management, you can actually refer out, or you have programs within your department that actually work with people.
That's right. We can work either in our office. We can do certain things. We refer to the hospital for electroconvulsive therapy. We can refer out for other things. But you need to get an assessment and evaluation to determine what would be most appropriate.
Gotcha.
What would be most appropriate.
The second segment was about exercise. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes, and I'm glad you mentioned that, Rusty, because exercise is a great way to treat depression. It is a very effective way to treat depression. And for my patients, I prescribe exercise all the time for them. And
you prescribe it?
Yeah, I mean, I literally prescribe it, and I not only by prescribe it, I don't just recommend it.
Right.
I talk to them about it. Now I've gotten to the point where I get my prescription pad out, and we have electronic medical records. So things are in the computer, but I actually pull out the old-fashioned paper and pen and sit down and write, exercise, walk 30 minutes 5 times a week, and I want you to do I put down the specific exercise program for them, because it is so important for mood and for health in general. We've got to be active.
That touche, and good for you for making that a prescription, because I think that if people see that this is not only a recommendation, but this is a mandated part of my treatment, they're more likely to take that serious.
Yeah, I hope so. I'm really pushing it. I just got back from a course at Harvard where we talked about lifestyle changes, and we focused on exercise and nutrition and sleep and other areas, and we'll be talking about some of those this morning. And it's just so important, and the physician has to believe in it. The treating clinician has to believe in it. And so I try to exercise myself very regularly and try to be a good role model and talk about the struggles that I have with finding time and getting it done.
I think personalizing one's own experience really enables people to really grab onto what you're saying, and you're not just some professional sitting behind a desk telling them what to do, but you can really connect with them by sharing your experience.
Sure, try to. And I also, even though I prescribe, I said, I want you to do this, but do the best you can. If you can only exercise 2 times this week, I'm not going to yell at you. Just, be honest with me. Let's talk about it, because some exercise is better than none at all.
Right. Yeah, a little bit.
You just got to get started. Yeah. We found that by exercising, you increase your cognition, you decrease your chances of developing Alzheimer's.
That's phenomenal.
You decrease your risk of cancers. They found studies where you decrease colon cancer risk, breast cancer risk, other lung cancer risk. So it's really a life-saving.
And this is just and you're not talking about lifting weights or it could be something as simple as taking a walk.
Yes, absolutely. I start everybody with just walking.
Yeah.
Just walking. I mean,
get some fresh air.
Yeah, if you go to a gym, that's great. If you want to do it at the gym, but if not, you just go out and walk with your partner, walk with your loved one, walk your dog, walk walk with your kids, that's all good. They say, and you always hear, I'm too busy, but you just have to make time. I mean, I actually literally put into my phone, I put in just like I have different meetings throughout the day, I put in my exercise time and actually put it down in there. So it's just part of my day.
And they also have these Fitbits that can actually track steps during the day.
I think Fitbits are great. And any of those electronic devices to help you are really good. By the way, steps, these step counters, which is a lot of them, 2,000 steps equal 1 mile.
2,000 steps.
2,000 steps equal 1 mile. So when you look, I did 7,000 steps today. Well, that's awesome. That's I think what they often recommend. Try to see if you can hit 6,000 or 7,000. So you're walking multiple miles a day, which is great.
Man, what a great way to do it too. Because you can track your steps, and you always have to walk around somewhere. I mean, whether it be to walk out to your car or walk to the restroom.
That's right. And they found that just by monitoring that, you can be a little more active, because you'll want it to be higher, and you'll make an effort. Maybe not parking quite as closely, or maybe try and take the stairs a little bit to the office, a couple of floors, and just to get some more steps in there. That's
and I think it's really convincing too, because if you just notice just by happenstance, wow, I took 3,000 steps today. I wasn't even trying. That little bit of that little bit of encouragement makes a huge difference, and it maybe inspires you to try a little harder.
Absolutely. So I think those things are great. And we really want to, the exercise, just, if you can do 150 minutes a week of moderate exercise, that would be fantastic. And that's, 30 minutes 5 times a week.
There it is. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages.
From the PenFed Credit Union Weather Center, partly cloudy skies today with a slight chance of a stray shower or thunderstorm, high approaching 88. Tonight, 60% chance of scattered thunderstorms, that low getting down to 71. I'm Zach Killian, and this report brought to you by Disney Pixar's Finding Dory.
Disney Pixar's new comedy adventure, Finding Dory. From the creators of Finding Nemo and Inside Out comes the unforgettable journey of the world's most forgetful fish. In theaters in 3D June 17th. Rated PG.
If you use a free credit monitoring service, you may think it will also protect your identity. But what you may not realize is that some free credit monitoring services feel free to sell your personal information. And that's a big price to pay. At LifeLock, we would never, ever sell your personal information. Instead, we help to protect you from identity theft by using proprietary technology to detect and alert you to a wide range of potential threats. And in the event that we discover a problem, we have a team of US-based specialists who will work to resolve it. Of course, no one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses, but LifeLock helps to protect you without selling your information. Remember, free credit monitoring can cost you your personal information. LifeLock memberships start at just $9.99 a month plus applicable taxes. And now you can get 10% off a LifeLock membership. Go to LifeLock.com and enter promo code NEWS. LifeLock.
You appreciate the feeling of a clean, smooth shave from a quality blade. So why are you messing around with generic razors that cost $32 for an 8-pack when you can shave with Harry's high-quality German-engineered blades for half the price? Harry's will give you their starter set, complete with a razor, 3 of their world-famous blades, and shaving cream for just $15. And shipping is always free. We'll also give you $5 off your first order. So go to harrys.com right now and enter code 7788 at checkout. Code 7788.
Psst, hey, it's me, your car. No, it's not the voice of your car phone or your GPS that gives you driving directions. I'm sorry to interrupt your tunes, but we need to talk. Take a look around. I'm not the new car I used to be. The season's dirt and mud really did a number on my carpet here. And that iced coffee you spilled, that didn't help. And with the rain showers and all, I know it's going to be a real mud bath in here. So do me a favor and get a set of WeatherTech floor liners. Got it? Now, how about a wash and detail? What do you say?
WeatherTech floor liners and cargo liners keep your vehicle's carpet safe from spills and messes. Made of the highest quality materials and laser measured, WeatherTech floor liners are specifically designed for your vehicle. And they're made in America. If it could talk, your vehicle would thank you. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com or call 1-800-CarMats. WeatherTech. Complete protection, completely American made.
Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey presents Circus Extreme. Tickets start at $15. Restrictions and charges apply. Tickets are on sale now. Opens August 3rd at American Airlines Center and August 18th at Fort Worth Convention Center.
You're listening to the Therapy Hour with Rusty Lozano, brought to you by the Center for Biofeedback and Behavior Therapy in Addison, Texas.
Hi, and we are back. If you are just joining us, we're visiting with Dr. Joel Holliner from the Holliner Psychiatric Group in Dallas. And he also has an array of different things that he does as well. We're going to switch gears on this third segment and discuss bipolar disorder, or also formerly known as manic depression. Can you tell us a little bit about bipolar?
Yeah, bipolar is a very interesting disorder. So like you said, Rusty, it's exactly the same thing as manic depression. So I'll have someone in my office and I'll see them for the first time and we'll go through everything. I say, well, I believe you've got bipolar disorder. And they go, no, I don't. I've been told I have manic depressive illness. Mm-hmm. I have to explain it is the same. It is exactly, yeah. It's actually the same. It's a new term. I don't know which is a better term, but the bipolar, the idea is that there's two poles, and one pole is depression. Mm-hmm. So it's just like a typical major depression, exactly like that. Mm-hmm. And then the other pole is the up part, the manic part. And in the manic part, you have increased energy and maybe the mind is racing and spending too much money and big plans and schemes and not needing to sleep much and being very revved up. And that can be in different degrees. It can be significant or it can be more mild.
And does that manic state necessarily mean like you see rage, anger, or are we talking about like just like almost hyperactivity, or it could be either?
It really can be either. I have some patients with bipolar disorder, and they get into big trouble. Mm-hmm. They get manic, they get irritable, and they get divorced or have domestic abuse, or they have legal problems. They get into fights, and it's a mess. Or curse out their boss, because they think they can do a better job and they should have their own shop. They don't need to be, and so it's a real problem for them, or end up in a hospital because of things. And then others where it's the lower end of that, where they're just energetic, don't need to sleep much. They're real high-spirited, more interested in sex maybe, revved up, but don't really get into trouble so much. I have patients that are like a car salesman, and they get hypomanic, the low end of manic, and they're real energetic and real personable and don't need to sleep much, and so they're go, and they sell cars like crazy in that time. And then they get depressed after a couple months. They've kind of given me the history. They get depressed and they don't sell anything, hardly anything. So they make all their money when they're up.
Yeah.
And so they want to stay up. But what we really want to do is balance it out.
Can you keep it in the center? Well,
they keep it in the center, even though most patients with bipolar disorder would like to have that up. Mm-hmm. I think I would like to have that up.
Within
reason.
Get a lot done, right?
Yeah, if it was with the low end of it, where you're in good mood, you're you feel great, you're rocking and rolling, and things are going your way or feel like they are, and that's nice. But the problem is that it doesn't last, and so then tend to crash down and get very depressed, or get too up and get into trouble. So we need to try to find that mid-ground, and we can do that. Fortunately, there's great medications that can help.
And before you do that, can you explain what a rapid cycling episode might look like?
Well, rapid cycling is when you go up and down very quickly.
Yeah. So those high manic states, sell a bunch of cars, low depressive states, just recluse and kind of sad.
Exactly. But you can do that all in the same couple days, or sometimes even in the same day.
Wow.
So it can be really up and really bad. And that's when they call it rapid cycling, when you rapidly go up or rapidly go down, and it's shifting.
And that's that's neurochemical.
These are thought to be chemical imbalances. And that's why we need medical treatments for it. It's not something that you should just wait out, see how it goes, or you had one episode and it stabilizes and you go, okay, I don't have to worry about it, because it's a recurrent illness. And the more episodes you get, the worse it is. The more you get, the more you get. The easier it is to get more in the future. So it changes the brain set to where you slide into it quickly. So it's very important to treat it aggressively as soon as we diagnose it. Unfortunately, it's hard to diagnose.
Is it?
It really is tricky, because if someone came to my office and was talking a mile a minute and big plans and schemes and was trying to sell me something and was talking about their 4 girlfriends that they're juggling and all that, then I could pick it up pretty easily.
Right.
You know? I think most doctors could do that pretty easily. The challenge is that patients are depressed more often than they're manic typically. So you're seeing someone that is either maybe in between or someone that's depressed most of the time.
So it looks like a depression.
So you think, oh, they're depressed.
Mm-hmm.
And so you give them maybe an antidepressant and talking therapy, and then it fuels a manic episode, can fuel a manic episode. You've read them up, you've given them fuel from a manic episode, and then they get sicker. So it can be very challenging. And it's the statistics are that 35% of patients that have bipolar disorder take over 10 years to diagnose, to figure out what they have, and have seen an average of 4 doctors before they're ever mental health professionals.
Wow.
Before they ever figure out what it is. So when I get a patient early on and I go through everything and I figure out they have bipolar disorder, I'll often will call their parents. I will have a 50-year-old man in my office and I will call his parents.
Just to get some background
to
information.
Get the background here because they don't know, don't want to tell you, don't remember when they're manic, aren't sure. So it's very confusing. So you need another historian very often to do it. But when I figure that out, it's one of the most rewarding things as a doctor that I have is I've figured out what's going on because I know I can make a huge change in the quality of their life.
This is what it is. Joel, how touchy is this with kids? Like being able to diagnose bipolar disorder?
Well, a lot of clinicians say, "Oh, I'm not going to diagnose it in a young person."
Yeah, I think the DSM-5 even actually makes it more difficult to diagnose children now.
Yeah, it does. And they have other diagnoses that they've created so that you don't sort of label a kid as having bipolar disorder. But the thing is that if I definitely have adolescents that have bipolar disorder in my practice. I mean, absolutely have it. It's very clear. And you need to treat them for that disorder because they've got the rest of their lives ahead of them. Right. And if you don't get it stabilized, what's that going to do to their academic career? Are they ever going to be able to have a stable marriage or get married? Or what are they going to do?
And what is their experience heading into adulthood? What's their point of reference? And if their point of reference are all these miserable experiences, it could set the tone for what this is going to be like for as a young adult.
Oh, absolutely. Their lives are on a trajectory of all kinds of chaos and trouble and disorganization and legal problems potentially. Yeah. So you really want to figure out the diagnosis and treat them.
So once an individual with bipolar disorder is treated, is there a lot of stability?
There really is a lot of stability in general. Yeah. Once you treat them, you may have to try several different medications, and it's not uncommon that we use multiple medications to get someone stabilized. That's
kind of find the right formula.
You have to find the right formula. I mean, there's the science to it where we know, okay, these things are FDA approved, this medication, but really it's how does this medication work in your body? Do you tolerate it well? Is it effective? Is it going to, any problems with side effects? So you want to have minimal side effects, have them function as well as possible. And it's definitely a treatable illness.
Yeah.
And you got to be patient with it, work with your doctor, and they can be treated, and the life is greatly improved. I mean, there's many incredible people that are bipolar. Probably multiple presidents have been bipolar, multiple very famous people, and people that have accomplished a great deal, but you need to treat it.
Yeah. So it doesn't mean you're any less of a person. I mean, you can do outstanding things, and it's not a death sentence to get a bipolar disorder diagnosis. It just means that, that categorization or that word, that diagnosis just explains how you experience the world and like what sorts of things need to be done in order to help you feel better.
Well, Russell, you're right. And there's something about the term bipolar. To me, it doesn't carry a negative stigma. Mm-hmm. As a doctor, it's something treatable. I treat them, but for many patients, I'm diagnosed as bipolar and they start crying.
Yeah.
Or they're just say, I'm not bipolar. I'm not bipolar because they think of bipolar as being crazy or hospitalized or something terribly impaired. It will never hopelessly impaired. That's not the case. It's very treatable.
Yeah,
we can make huge differences for them.
Yeah, you go on to do some pretty great things in the world.
Absolutely,
and move on to make your mark.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit more about treatments and treatment options.
Well, there's great medications, and that's the main thing that we do. We have lithium is kind of the one that most people have heard of.
Yeah.
Yeah, a very common one. There's anticonvulsant seizure medicines are found to be extremely effective for treating mood disorders. So it kind of goes to show that this is a biological illness and that we need different medications. So things like Depakote, Tegretol, Trileptal, other medications for seizures are very, very helpful. We also have other medications, kind of tranquilizers and things that are used for other disorders are extremely helpful for bipolar in addition.
Wow. Yeah, and I think that having a variety of different things in addition to counseling or like being
that's right.
being engaged in it.
And counseling is very important, and sleep is very important. It's really crucial to get good sleep when you're bipolar and have a regular sleeping schedule. So I'd like to make sure we get in and talk about sleep some too today.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, that's going to be our fourth segment. So can you give us a statement, just a general statement about bipolar, just so that somebody hearing this can understand, when it's time to maybe get treatment?
Well, so bipolar is that illness where you have big mood swings. So if there's big mood swings that are real up, it can be irritable or it can be fun, or times when we're really down, and that means we need to get treatment. We need to get help. You need to see a mental health professional, talk to your family doctor. If they're not comfortable, see a psychiatrist and get in. And there's wonderful treatments available. There's counseling, there's medications, and if you work with a doctor, it'll make all the difference in your life and the quality of your life.
You don't have to be afraid. I mean, the word psychiatrist doesn't mean that, okay, yeah, there's something really wrong with me, I'm going to have to see a psychiatrist.
No, it really doesn't. I talk to family doctors all the time, and I say, I want you to treat as much as you feel comfortable treating, because your patients trust you, they feel comfortable with you. And so I love to work with family doctors and educate them. But when the family doctor says, this is beyond what I have a comfort level with, then it's time to go see a psychiatrist.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back after these messages.
From the PenFed Credit Union Weather Center, partly cloudy skies today with a slight chance of a stray shower or thunderstorm, high approaching 88. Tonight, 60% chance of scattered thunderstorms, that low getting down to 71. I'm Zach Killian, and this report brought to you by Disney Pixar's Finding Dory.
Disney Pixar's new comedy adventure, Finding Dory. From the creators of Finding Nemo and Inside Out comes the unforgettable journey of the world's most forgetful fish. In theaters in 3D June 17th. Rated PG.
Your home is your castle, so when termites invade, you want the strongest defense you can get. You want Terminix, an elite force of termite-fighting professionals armed with 85 years of successful missions. Right now, we'll design a custom battle plan for defending your home, and it starts with a free termite inspection. Call 1-800-700-2951. We'll be relentless in our quest to wipe out those invaders, and we won't stop until your home is completely termite-free. We can also defend your home against future invasions and the damage they may cause with our Ultimate Protection Guarantee. If they come back, so will we. The Ultimate Protection Guarantee is the strongest guarantee in the business. It's our unbreakable vow to eliminate any termite that even thinks of breaching your walls. Defending your castle is a big job, so call Terminix today for a free termite inspection. 1-800-700-2951. That's 1-800-700-2951.
Ultimate Protection Guarantee not available on every plan. Limitations apply. Call for details.
Psst. Hey, it's me, your car. No, it's not the voice of your car phone or your GPS that gives you driving directions. I'm sorry to interrupt your tunes, but we need to talk. Take a look around. I'm not the new car I used to be. The season's dirt and mud really did a number on my carpet here. And that iced coffee you spilled, that didn't help. And with the rain showers and all, I know it's going to be a real mud bath in here. So do me a favor and get a set of WeatherTech floor liners. Got it? Now, how about a wash and detail? What do you say?
WeatherTech floor liners and cargo liners keep your vehicle's carpet safe from spills and messes. Made of the highest quality materials and laser measured, WeatherTech floor liners are specifically designed for your vehicle. And they're made in America. If it could talk, your vehicle would thank you. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com or call 1-800-CarMats. WeatherTech. Complete protection, completely American made.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks. I was afraid my grill wasn't going to make it through the summer.
Frank needed a new grill, so I showed him our entire line, including the Weber Genesis and Spirit lines.
Ace is the place that brings you the best names in grills. Literally brings it to your house after we assemble it for you.
Now through Memorial Day, get free assembly and delivery when you buy any grill $3.99 and up, including Weber. Offer valid through May 30th. Free local assembly and delivery must be scheduled with participating Ace store. Store stock only. See store for details.
You're listening to the Therapy Hour with Rusty Lozano, brought to you by the Center for Biofeedback and Behavior Therapy in Addison, Texas.
Hi, and welcome back to the Therapy Hour. If you're just joining us, we're visiting with Joel Hollander from the Hollander Psychiatric Group, and we just got through actually discussing bipolar disorder, and actually over the break, you had mentioned a few things, and I wanted to just kind of recap that really quick. That you don't necessarily need to express or exhibit the depressive features in bipolar in order to be bipolar.
Right. When you're bipolar, to make the diagnosis, you just have to have the up part, the manic or hypomanic part. So you have to have the increased energy, talking fast, mind racing, need for less sleep, energetic or irritability, that kind of thing, the grandiosity. That you have that picture. You don't necessarily have to have the depression part. Most folks with bipolar do have both poles, but if you have the up part, that makes a diagnosis of bipolar.
Got it. So that means that it doesn't necessarily mean that you have you have to have that depressive feature, but it doesn't go the other way either. I mean, so if it's depression, then it's looked at more of as depression.
Right. If you're just depressed and never have the up part, then it's depression. And that's treated differently than if you're bipolar. Different medication sets, you go about it and the treatment very differently.
Gotcha. I wanted to clear that up. I thought that was a really important tidbit that we had over the break. Let's move into sleep problems. This could be a catalyst for a lot of things. Tell me a little bit about what sleep problems and how people have, what kind of problems people experience, and what effect it has on mental function.
Well, sleep problems are really ubiquitous in the United States and probably in the world now. But when you have depression, we either have too much sleep or very often too little sleep. The most challenging part is staying asleep. But sleep problems are a big problem in depression. In bipolar disorder, folks generally need less sleep or get less sleep because they're kind of revved up, particularly when they're in the manic phase of it. And folks are anxious, they don't sleep as well. And with just most psychiatric orders, it overlaps with sleep problems. And we know that sleep is really a challenge. We think for our health in general, we think of exercise as really important, and it is. We think of the food we eat, having good dietary input. That's really important. But the third pillar of health is sleep. That's just as important. In the past 50 years, the average American's gone from 8.5 hours of sleep a night to under 7 hours, to 6 hours and something a night.
And what's really required? It's
recommended 7 to 9. In the studies that they've done, they say that most adults need 7 to 9 hours.
Wow.
Yet at least a third of American population sleeps well less than 6 hours a night.
That's pretty low.
Yeah, it really is on an ongoing basis. I mean, you can maybe get by with it for a very short period of time, but it really takes its toll because sleep is very important for our bodies, our brain, and the rest of our bodies. I mean, if we don't have sleep, that's how we get memories. Helps our memory, helps our mental processing, but helps our body in all kinds of physiologic functions. So we need that downtime and rest and sleep. So all these folks that say, "Oh, I'll sleep when I die. I'm too busy to sleep now." Well, they're going to get there quicker if they don't sleep.
They're making their own grave.
They really are, and the quality of their life is not going to be nearly as good. When you sleep, you've got all these different phases of sleep, and you need all of the phases, and you need enough time to get, the REM, which is the phase where we dream, and that's again thought to be processing things that happen during the day. Let our brain kind of memorize those and process those and deal with the different stressors that happen during the day, and then all the way to stage 3 and 4 of deep deep sleep. We need all of those. And if we're impoverished and don't sleep enough, our brain isn't going to get to function like it's
you're
supposed
compromising your health. I mean, you're physically tired, cognitively, you're running on probably synthetic energy at that point. That's why you need to coffee up or take some sort of vitamin to help pick you up some.
You're irritable during that time. And also, when they look at physical problems, oh my goodness, if you don't sleep enough, there's a much, much higher chance of diabetes, of obesity. So if those of you who want to lose weight, you need to get some sleep because it really changes the hormones. You eat more junk food, have a craving for more junk food, don't follow your diet as well, and it changes your insulin levels. And so it's important for diabetes, obesity, heart disease. It changes different kinds of cancers. And you mentioned the sharpness and the ability to function, Rusty, is I was looking back and I thought this was in 1986. Remember the space shuttle that blew up?
Yeah.
That was the Space Challenger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one where I think her name was Krista McCullough was the teacher on there who was going to be the first teacher in space. And so we were all following it.
Yeah.
And it blew up because of a faulty O-ring in the shuttle. Well, when they look back at this thing, trying to figure out what happened, the engineers were saying, don't go. We don't think this is safe. Abort the flight. But the managers that made the ultimate decision, they were so stressed by all this going on that they didn't sleep, and they had gone without sleeping for a long time, and they made bad decisions. That's what kind of the report that came back, is they made bad decisions in retrospect, and they think it's in large part because they were so sleep deprived, they weren't thinking as clearly.
They made a poor choice.
Yeah, so it's very, very important to get our sleep.
Yeah, and you know what? And you're talking about 7 to 9 hours of sleep is what's required.
Right.
And so here we are, and think about how much there is to do at night. They make all these interesting television shows at night. The news comes on at 10 o'clock. I mean, that's the big hour news, and then if you TiVo things and you have your phone, reading your emails or getting on your social media while you're laying down. And so all of these, it's too easy to get distracted.
It really is so easy to get distracted. And the electronics, this whole idea of electronics is a disaster for sleep. So, it's the stimulation from sleep. It's the lights tell the brain it's time to wake up, not time to go to sleep. So we really recommend that we remove electronics an hour before you want to go to sleep.
1 hour before.
And just get rid of electronics. So do not look at your emails at night. Right when you're in bed. Do not look at your emails. Do not play video games. Some people may say, it relaxes me. Well, it's stimulating your brain, and it's going to be harder to sleep well. So to get the electronics. Now, television is a mixed blessing. Most people get stimulated by that, but it kind of, sometimes you can get away with watching TV. But you need to be very, very careful. Listening to music can be okay for some people, but the lights are a big problem, and things that would stimulate you. So don't do work. Don't get involved in a phone call that's about some work problem or difficulty. You want to really try to get electronics out an hour before you go to sleep.
What do you think about those people who fall asleep to the television turned on?
I think if it works for them, that's okay.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think that's okay. That's why I'm a little mixed on TV, because for most people it's not good for them, but some people do find it soothing and can go to sleep with the TV on.
So they have it kind of on in the background.
It's kind of like white noise and all that. And that's okay.
Okay.
So, I mean, if it works for them, that's okay. But phones and video games and emails, that doesn't work for anybody.
Because what you're doing, I guess the difference there is that, you're cognitively doing something. Like you're playing a game and playing puzzles and responding to social media, reading and watching videos. So I guess it's more interactive than just having background noise.
Well, and they've shown that reading actually itself is not bad. So you can read and go to sleep, but it needs to be old school reading a book. If you can
not
find
reading
one,
from
if
a
you
light
can find
bulb.
one somewhere. Go to the library, go to a bookstore, book or a mag, read that, but not a Kindle.
Yeah.
And don't read the electronic books.
So, the iPhones now have a new feature that's kind of like a nighttime mode, and it softens up the screen. It kind of makes it kind of bronzy, and that's still not it's still not really helping the cause, though.
Thought not to be that great, but it's probably better. I mean, if you just absolutely have to do that, it's better. I haven't seen any research on that. It might end up being okay, but I haven't seen that
You just
yet.
flip a switch, and all of a sudden everything kind of dims down. It kind of turns like a rosy bronze color on the screen. But still, I mean, the concept and everything you're talking about is that your brain should not be active at that point.
That's right. You want to kind of calm down. You want to, along those lines, we talked about caffeine earlier. The caffeine lasts in the system a very long time. And caffeine offsets the chemicals in our body. It tells us we're tired, and that's how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And so it lasts a very long time. So 6 to 9 hours to just get half of the blood level down on caffeine. So really you need to minimize caffeine, and certainly nothing after noon at all. You want to minimize caffeine. You minimize alcohol.
Nothing after noon?
After noon.
Really?
If you really want to sleep the best, because it lasts in the body so long that it's still with you in the evening when you try to go to sleep.
So these kids are actually at Starbucks doing their homework, and I have my nephew sitting here, and he's done this before, but going and drinking coffee, and college students that are doing that, they're not doing themselves any favors either.
It's terrible for sleep. Absolutely terrible for sleep. And you want to minimize alcohol. Speaking of college students, you want to minimize alcohol. Do that, and that's very important. You think it may help you go to sleep, and it does. Some people help them go to sleep, but it doesn't help the sleep architecture. You break your sleep up, so you don't sleep very well. You want to sleep in a room that's cool. Most people do much better cool and do better if the room is dark. And you might even want to set an alarm to prepare to go to sleep. Some people find an hour before they want to go to sleep, okay, it's time to kind of calm down and start turning things off. Some people take a warm bath and find that helps them go to sleep.
Fantastic. Joel, real quick, we have about 30 seconds. How can people find you?
Oh, well, my office is here in Dallas, and my telephone number is 972-566-4591, 972-566-4591. I'm at Medical City, Dallas, and at the Hollander Psychiatric Group.
Hollander Psychiatric Group. Joel, thank you very much for being on the show. It's a pleasure having you on. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Be safe. Be thankful. Have a great day.